Hey, it's been a minute. I wanted to record a video today, partially because it's below zero and I have nothing better to do. But also, I wanted to start by just sharing a few updates. I've been doing a lot of activism for the community in the last few months, well, few years, but some exciting things have happened recently. I did a Trans 101 for my school district, all the administrators and principals. It was a group of 85 people over Zoom, and I nearly nearly passed out before it happened. I was so nervous, but it went over really well, and that happened about a week and a half ago. And since then, I've had two different schools reach out to me and share that they're going to start GSAs in their buildings. So that's already been something really fantastic that's happened from that. I've been doing other Trans 101s for other organizations, as well as I've started up a binder exchange program at our LGBT center. And basically, we're collecting gently used binders and then distributing them to people in need in Kansas City. I'm sharing this especially today because I reached out to GC2B, which is one of the most well-known binder companies, and wanted to see if they had anything that they could donate to us. And they got back to me and said that they were going to give us 15 to 20 binders, which is incredible. Like, I was so happy to hear that. But I actually got the package today, and they sent us 120 brand new binders. And I was so happy I nearly cried. We're going to be able to help so many people here in Kansas City with that donation. So I feel so fortunate for that. I'm also working on starting up a trans surgery grant here in Kansas City to help somebody in need. Fundraising for that, getting the application together. I'm just really trying to do what I can to help the trans community here. So, wanted to share that first because that stuff is really important to me, and I sometimes feel like, I don't really do YouTube as much anymore. I never really became as YouTube famous as I thought, but that's not why I did it. I wanted to share my story, and I'm able to do more things locally now and potentially have a bigger impact. But I do still like sharing my story here and connecting with you all. So what I want to talk about today, if you're still listening, is coming out and my coming out story, because as I've done these Trans 101 presentations, I've had a lot of people ask me about that. So I came out as, well, let me go way back here. And I might have said some of these things in a video before, so, but I'm sure we haven't all watched my videos, every minute of them. I came out as kind of like, I think I originally came out as bisexual. And I'm going to be talking more about my gender, but I have felt masculine pretty much my whole life. And I started dressing more masculine around the age of 22, so about 10 years ago. That was when I came out as bisexual, and then I think eventually I said I was lesbian or I was queer, I was attracted to women. So I was kind of identifying as a butch lesbian at that time. I cut my hair, I changed my clothes, and I did that in a slow process. It's not like I just woke up one morning and I probably always could wear plaid shirts, but, it was a slow process. And looking back at photos, I'm like, oh gosh, what was I doing? But I'm sure we all tend to do that for ourselves. So that felt really good for me for a long time. And then I think 4 or 5 years later, I started using they, them pronouns, and I was identifying as genderqueer. Non-binary wasn't really a term used back then, so I used genderqueer. And I wasn't really, super in people's face about it because I knew a lot of people were like, oh, they, them pronouns, what is this? It's too complicated. So for people that were going to use them, I was like, awesome. But I didn't go out of my way to correct people that didn't. I don't think I even ever told my family that I prefer they, them pronouns because I just figured they wouldn't get it, and I didn't want to fight that battle. So when I was 28, that's when I came out as trans, and that's when I was actually living abroad in Australia, and it was really good timing because I was able to meet people who didn't know who I was in the past and introduce myself as Riley and use he, him pronouns. Of course, I hadn't started medically transitioning, so that only went so far, I think, with people in social situations, but it was a great time for me to be able to do that. And I wanted to be out as Riley and just see how it felt before I took any type of medical intervention, I guess. So, and I've always been really about like taking things really slowly, but that doesn't mean every person's gonna do that. And if like you want to start T and change your name like the same day, that's totally up to you. There's no one right way to do this. So, lived as Riley for that first year, and for the most part, everyone that I was around figured it out. Again, this was mostly new people that I met, and then I was in a relationship, so changing my name with her was super easy. But it wasn't until I returned that a lot of the negativity, not necessarily negativity, but became more difficult. When I came back, I had been living as Riley for nearly a year. And it was like I was starting over from day one because the people that I care about, my close family and friends, they had never really met Riley before. And they weren't used to using my name and pronouns. So it definitely was an adjustment. Everybody, of course, tried their best, but there were a lot of mistakes made. Then around that same time is when I started testosterone and medically transitioning, and everybody caught on, I think, a bit easier once my voice started to change and I started to grow a little bit of facial hair and all those changes started happening. But I guess all I'm just trying to say with this beginning part is that it took people a long time to use my right name and my right pronouns, and I know it can be really frustrating for people and they just want it to happen like that. But I think it's important that, of course, you know who you are and you deserve to be treated the way for who you are, but it does take people time to change. And I've been on testosterone now for 3 years, and for the most part, everyone is understanding and uses my correct name and pronouns, but there's a few people in my life who the medical transition has been pretty hard for them, and there's even times now where I still get some kind of like, you're not really a guy. And they don't say it like that, but they're kind of I guess they just don't fully understand. And I don't think it's because they're trying to be unaccepting. I don't know what exactly it is. And I'm not here to shame anybody by any means. But I'm just trying to say with this whole long video that it's a journey. It takes people time. And I've been fortunate that most people have caught on pretty easily. But I have good and bad days, and that's with family, that's with dating. That's been probably the hardest thing for me recently, is there are so many people out there who don't understand and who will ask me inappropriate questions, or they act like they're okay at the beginning and then they decide, I'm not really a guy to them. So this video really is I'm not sure what I've said, except that I guess maybe I just wanted to vent about a few things and tell you a little more about my story. And, I do want to say that, like, it gets better for me. I've been able to live stealth more recently and choose who I come out to. And that has nothing to do with being ashamed of being trans, but also being aware that not everybody is educated and understands, and I don't want to have to always be explaining or have that negativity towards me. So Yeah, and I've talked about this in other videos, and I'm gonna stop because I don't really know where I wanted to go with this. But if you got something from this, or you have questions, let me know, and take care. Bye.